and find a paradigm which really moves the humanity forward, the totality of humanity forward. And in that process, I see that the role of change and acceptance of change will be a decisive factor. Now, how do we relate this entire concept in its more global setting and possibly the global future? Because I mean, if you look at the demographics, I think there is a considerable amount of problem inherent in the whole kingdom of God emerging.
Yes, Brother Nidmal, truth is one, and the true deen is one, and we have to propagate it. But for that purpose, we have to emphasize not the dogma or the creed, but the system of social justice, which is the need of all humanity. For 300 years or 400 years, humanity is in search of some just social order. From kingdom, kingship, and these lords and barons and etc., etc., there was French Revolution. But it culminated into capitalism. So there was another revolution, Bolshevik Revolution. It has failed because it was not divine guided, the straight path. In reaction you go to other extreme. So that was extremist. So now again we are back to capitalism and liberalism and secularism and so on. But there will be another step in which humanity will go. But for that purpose, at least in some one sizable country on the globe, we must establish that socio-politico-economic order of Islam, so that people can see with their own eyes, this is Islam. What we have been fighting against was something else. This is Islam. So that is the answer to all the questions humanity is facing today. And that is why now America, when they say we are not against Islam, they are saying true. They accept Islam as a mazhab, as a religion. And it comprises of three parts. Some creed, a dogma, beliefs, some forms of worship, some social customs, what to do with the dead body and how to solemnize the marriage and how to celebrate the birth of a new baby, etc., etc. Well, you can have any belief. You can come to America, buy a synagogue, turn it into a mosque. You can come to America, buy a church and turn it into a synagogue. We have no objection. We are ready to embrace you, but not the political socio-economic system. That is ours. It will remain ours. We don't accept any divine revelation or divine guidance regarding these things. Now, what was the point of difference between the USSR and the Western world? For half a century there was going Cold War, but what for? The political socio-economic system. Otherwise, the Russians and all these countries, Eastern European, they were also Christians. And Western Europe and America was also Christian. There was no fight of creed or something else. It was this system. So whosoever is gaining by this capitalistic system, he has to protect that system anyhow. And he will have to go to any extent to guard their interests in this world. And they fear Islam only as a political socio-economic system, not as a mazhab, not as a religion. They can keep all the religions at par in America, yes. You can make a Gurdwara, you can build there, go there. Hindus can build temples and go there. Whatever you do. But nothing doing. Our secular, liberal, and then our capitalistic system.
Can I just come back to this chart for a moment and perhaps pick up on something which we have touched on, and that is there are many texts in the world, many texts, many books in the world which people claim to be infallible. You know, conservative evangelicals such as George Bush and others would talk about the Bible in those sorts of ways. Certain Jews would talk about the Torah in those sorts of ways, the Bhagavad Gita, Tripitaka, and so you can go on. Can you just clarify, how do you know which is the book which is protected and immune from error and satanic influence? How do you know which book has that status?
That has to be a historical research. Quran throughout 14 centuries has remained as it was. Bible has not. There were revisions, changes. You know, Ahmed Didat, you know, he has this subject, specialized in that subject. Regarding Torah, the Jews also believe that the real Torah is no more there. It was destroyed or buried in the tunnels under that Temple of Solomon in the year 587, when Nebuchadnezzar had invaded and demolished that temple. So I can say this thing about my Torah and Injil only. Regarding the scriptures of the Indians, they are not sure who are the authors of the Upanishads, who were the authors of the Veds. They are prehistoric type of things. But Quran, you know, is in the light of history, full light of history.
One other question about this chart, and that is, do you have any sympathy? There are some in Europe who argue that the rise of science, the rise of scientific learning, needed to emerge from a theistic and religious framework, because of course it's the assumption of faith that the world is ordered, which makes it possible for people to investigate it. So do you have any sense that actually you need religion to create the possibility of science?
I think this hypothesis is historically wrong. You know, the days of the Muslims, the Abbasids, they had the background of Islam and science, mathematics, you know, all these things, medicine, they flourished. We got those things from Greek sources and from Indians, developed them, and we had the background of belief in God and religion. And we transferred it to Europe through the universities of Cordova and Granada and Toledo. But because, you know, the rule of Pope in those days in Europe, which had prohibited science and philosophy both, that had created an anti-religious sentiment among the masses. So when science started developing, it had that anti-religious color in it. That is the real cause.
At superficial level, there seems to be a contradiction between science and religion. But I think what you were saying was that there is a continuity. The fundamental, foundational, philosophical assumption of science is that life in universe has an order. And this is a religious truth. So science built on that metaphysical idea and tried to find out the nature of order in the universe. So the